Yeah. Hi. Hi. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, everyone, based on your time zone. And welcome to Apex Hour. And today's topic is design thinking for Salesforce professionals. And our speaker is Charlie. So let me hand over to Charlie for a introduction and your session, your presentation.
Sure.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for this opportunity to talk with so many people over here. And we are all in the Salesforce ecosystem. It's wonderful to know you. I will start with an introduction. Okay, so I do not look as handsome as this guy over here. But my name is Charlie. I'm a Salesforce certified CTA, and I'm an enterprise architect in my company. And I have been an IT professional for more than 2 decades. So I started quite early when the web was relatively new. And with that introduction, I like to go ahead with our topic today. Our topic today is design thinking. And I'm going to answer 3 questions in this session. What is design thinking? And um, why is design thinking relevant for Salesforce professionals, us? And how to apply design thinking, the principles behind design thinking to our business and our careers. Okay, so that's the topic today. And in the very beginning of this of the preparation, I took a 3-month class at Stanford University to learn design thinking. Oh, it's a fabulous class. And earlier I talked about chatting with ChatGPT on design thinking. ChatGPT knows almost all the things I learned in class, but there's a difference. In the class, I get to learn only the best stuff, not all the tangential stuff. And I get to work with many friends there, regularly discuss with each other. And discussing with friends is quite not like discussing with ChatGPT. And the ChatGPT is so much more knowledgeable than us, but we have understanding. ChatGPT does not. And so memory and expertise is the residue of thinking, of understanding. So ChatGPT will not replace us, and talking with each other and having discussion like this here is still important for us. Now let's go on to the first thing. Okay, so this is just information slide, how to follow us. If you search for Apex Hours in Google, you will find it. Okay, you will find us. And I will go ahead with the first question. What is design thinking? Design thinking is a process we follow to arrive at innovation. In this case, we're talking about a business innovation. This innovation falls at the sweet spots of 3 properties. First, this innovation is usable by humans and is even desirable. It produces value for people, but it also gives people delight, like an iPhone, and that's human value. And a second is technically possible. We can really produce it. And third, it is also viable in terms of business. So if we do something for short term, it's okay if we do not make a profit. But in the long run, we all have to put a food on the table or send our children eventually to college. Start to save for your son. And so all these 3 properties is necessary for innovation to be long-term viable, to serve people and have a business and really make life really make it a reality, not just a pipe dream. So this is this is a design thinking. So it's this process which I will go step by step so that we can understand it well to find out the underlying properties, underlying principles and apply to our work. Now, Having looked at that, let's go to the second question. Why it matters to us, Salesforce professionals? Well, um, I will I will tell you why it matters to me, and hopefully we have so much overlap as IT professionals and the Salesforce professionals, and you will find you will be able to echo. So I started my career as a programmer, and what I found was that I was a very good problem solver. When I was young, my mentor was a very experienced engineering manager from IBM. At that time, IBM was was the Google at that time, and he was a very good engineer. He told me that Charlie, you are good enough to solve all the problems. Just don't get into politics and solve technical problems. I love that advice, and I've always been solving technical problems. I delight in those things, and I also found out that I can actually work well with people because I worked a lot on integration. So I worked well with people, and I become a collaborative problem solver. And then pretty soon I found that, well, actually not all the problems I can solve by myself. Sometimes I do need to organize a team to solve a problem. So I become more collaborative over time. And so they are things we learn down the way. For example, when we have a problem, the first thing is that we never blame each other or blame the person who reported the problem. And then we always collaborate transparently, since we do not need to blame each other. And then in the end, we give each other credit. And as a leader, you give other people credit. And there are so many credits to give anyway. So it's enough glory. And then gradually, I become an enterprise architect. As an enterprise architect, I needed to have an enterprise level understanding of how things work. Now, later in the slide, I will show you how I understand the enterprise and be able to connect the dots and be able to find synergy among projects, etc. So once I become a product, I found out that more and more technology is in the background, and having been in the trench debugging and coding and testing and doing all the fun stuff for so long, it's natural. It's like breathing air for us. But the human value, how do we make things that people find useful and really solve their problem? How do we make sure they find delight when they use our products, our applications, is very, very important. I will give an example later. And then how do we make sure we are making business profits? How do we make sure we are profitable as a business? Is these things, human values and business values, become bigger and bigger concerns. So I quite delight to learn all of these things and expand my understanding, and also grow my career as I grow my contribution in my roles to the places where I work or contribute to, either for profit or non-profit. So so that's the perspective of an architect. Do we have architects? Okay, I should know the audience. So I would invite you to type in the chat. If you are admin, just put your first name there, say admin. And if you are a developer, then put in the chat your name, developer or architect. Or if you have multiple roles, just I like to know what are your roles. Now, so if you're an architect, and I hope you can identify with me to get the user perspective and the business perspective is becoming more and more important. And now, for Salesforce professionals, especially if you're a senior admin, senior leader in the Salesforce team, you want to position Salesforce properly in the enterprise. Now, there are multiple challenges to this. Salesforce has so many clouds and have so many parts. Now, how do you position it? In the overall enterprise architecture, it can occupy many different places, right? It is a backend system, which is becoming the system records for customer data and also your transactions, right? But on the front end, you can also offer a customer portal and also a partner portal. And we are all of this, and we have intelligence there also. So how do we properly position Salesforce in the enterprise? And also, how do we make sure we do not take on things which are not really suitable for Salesforce? And it's better done in other places, like big data, number crunching, heavy computation. Those things we should put in data warehouse in public clouds, for example. I mean the infrastructure as a service systems, right? They are better at number crunching than us. So how do we properly position Salesforce so that we maximize our team's contribution to our enterprises, and then minimize our trouble, minimize the trouble we cause for other people? And we also want to find out who are our customers. And when we are an individual developer, well, whatever our team lead, our manager tell us, or the scrum lead assigned to us, we work on that, right? So it's like our boss is our customer, but really they are employee of the same company trying to make contribution to the company also. Or you may say we have internal customers, right? If we work on Sales Cloud, the sales people are our customers. If we work on Service Cloud, then the customer success people are our customers. True, but they also serve external customers. And to serve our sales people well, it's important to know how they serve the prospects and how they do the deals, so that we help them to serve their customer. Eventually, the eventual customers are really the customers who buy your stuff and create revenue and profits for your business. Okay, so we wanted to know who we are serving so that we can create ultimate business values for our business. Or if we not work for nonprofit, we want to know who are the clients, who are the people we serve. So this is why it matter. I found it matter to me, and I hope you find it matter to you also. So if it matters, then how do we apply the underlying principles to our work? Well, we do not even know what are the underlying principles unless we take a careful look at this design thinking process. So at this point, I'm going to go to a step-by-step introduction of the design thinking process. But before we go there, I first like to group them. The first steps is to make sure we understand our users, our customers, and solve their problems, not our problems. And second is that we make sure we are indeed solving their problems in a doable way, and also create value for them, that they are willing to do value exchange for us. That means they confirm that we are creating value for them. They confirm it by telling us, or even sign a contract to assure us, yes, I'm willing to pay for this, right? And if we are doing internal projects, and we can convince the sales executives, yes, I'm funding this, I'm sponsoring this project, you get $1 million to work on this, right? So this is the second step, which is to make sure we are on the right path to solve the problem. And the last two steps is to make sure we do have a business model or business case and then we validate our business model and a business case, so that when we start to really spend that $1 million on the project, we already know what we are doing. We already know our solutions will be acceptable. 3 stages, 8 steps. Let's take a look at them. The first step of problem solving is observation and interview. Now, if you have a UCD team in your company, user-centered design team, this is what they do. They do this a lot. They are professionals. They do a good job. And to join them to meet the customers sometimes is a wonderful experience. And we learn so much from the customers and from how they conduct it. But if your company does not have UCD, like I used to work with Accenture, a huge company, we have professionals who do that. We architects, we admins, we developers, we can do Pullman's version of that. We can do that pretty well also if we know the principles. Now, have you observed, have you ever sit with a salesperson or a support person who are using your Sales Cloud or Service Cloud. Oh, you'll be surprised when you sit there to find out what is important for them, what is not important for them. For example, reports may seem to be pretty entry-level tasks for us, but for them, it's so important because they get information, very important information from there. So reporting, once you sit with the salespeople and the service people, you find out the reporting dashboards are one of the most important things for them. So so you pay attention to that. You want to make sure you can answer their questions and you do the quick fixes or show them, create the training materials for them to do that. One of the most impressive observation I had was when I was trying to create a web app for our technicians at a telecom company. The technicians work in the wire center, huge buildings. Many of you might have seen a data center. Well, telecom have a wire center where we have millions and billions of wires, and we have to make sure we can sort them out. It's a lot of work to sort out billion wires in a building, right? So we have technicians who work on that. Our idea was that we're going to make our web app work really well on a tablet device, so that our technicians just take the tablet with them, and then they the whole day they can communicate, they can conveniently get information. So, but once we follow them to the wire center, we found out, okay, forget about it. It's too early because the tablet, first of all, it's easy to drop when they climb the ladders. And today's iPad is much better, but those are the years when iPad was when those machines are still heavy. And well, and of course we have to buy the sturdy versions for them, which are even heavier, and it's easy to drop. And also think about a person standing on a ladder trying to do their job, and I have to hold a notepad with a hand and click with another hand. It's not practical. And but one of our solution architects visited the wire center offices and found the neatest offices have very neat paperwork. They print out our screens and save those things there. Every morning, the technicians actually print out all the work they need to do, then they go to do their work. So the lesson we learned was that our web page should really be printable. And when they print out, it's nice. Okay, so and later, technology will enable, will be more feasible for them to use. But we really need to observe our customers, and then we also want to conduct interviews, ask them what is really going on, what they think, right? What they do, and why they do that, and how do they feel when they use our applications. So interview is interviewing is a very interesting thing. If you do not do it, you may think that it's pretty easy, right? And we talk with people all the time, but when you conduct a systematic interview, you will find out, wow, there's things to learn there. I came up with $1 billion idea in my class, in my design thinking class, and I found people I can interview. So the first couple of interviews, I really messed up. So I sit there, I tried to interview, and I asked my neighbor a question, and he asked me the question back. I said, okay, I will tell him what I do. Well, one of the rules of an interview is that you do not talk, you listen. Okay, so once I started to talk, my very smart neighbor started to ask me questions. I did not get to learn or not, but I did get to note down the conversation and prepare an interview script, and then later I did better. So, I learned that lesson from a field interview. And later I was able to conduct a very good interview to solve a bigger problem for us. So in one of the places I worked, we found that very occasionally we get our order wrong. We send our order to customers twice, or which is not a happy thing. If something buy one iPhone, they do not probably want two iPhones. By the way, they know they have to ship it back, and um, they are not happy with that experience. Of course, we are not happy. It's expensive to make mistakes like that. So so why would that happen? Well, we found out that somehow in the system, an activated order, which is already sent out to the ERP systems to ship and to deliver, can actually be deleted. Well, how can that be? So we asked our business analyst to go to find out. Our business analyst came back and said, "Well, so the reason they wanted to delete an activated order is that sometimes one of the fields on the activated order is wrong. So they wanted it to be recreated. And they cannot change it because you have locked the order after order is activated. So they figured out a way to delete it. Okay. And I said, which field? They said it's the date, activation date field. Okay. I said, why? So eventually we decided that, you know what, this time I'm going to take advantage. I will go there to do the interview, to practice a skill, which is called ask 5 whys, to find out really what is happening. So I asked him that I know that sometimes you need to delete an order. So I like to know the specific circumstance. You need to delete an activated order. And they told me that, oh yeah, it's very occasional, but sometimes the downstream activation system fails to activate for the customers. So once we activate an order, the customers start to pay. So it's not fair for them if we fail and make them to pay early. So we needed to change that, but the screen is locked. We cannot change that, and therefore we figured out a way we can delete this. So we did that. They are very smart in trying to solve the problem that way. But knowing the problem, the cost, I said, okay, now if you have that need, then why not we figure out a way to make our integration with activation system more resilient, so that you don't need to do that. Well, that's one solution, but there's another reason. It turns out there's another reason they can also delete an order. So if we send our order from Salesforce to the financial system, there's a final approve there. If someone in the financial system does not approve that, well, they can roll back the deal and say, change this and then do that. Well, then why don't they do the approval in Salesforce? Well, that's a good question. And so I want to ask this financial people, why don't you do approval in Salesforce and get all the final approval there? Well, there it turns out that that instance of Salesforce happened to be not SOX compliant yet. And so the final approval had to happen in the financial system, not in the system which is not SOX compliant. Okay, so it's all complex. So, but through this interview, we learned quite a lot. We know the point of no return is not in that instance of Salesforce. It must be confirmed by activation system and also finally approved by the financial people in another system until we get that instance of Salesforce SOX compliant. And so now you say, I have learned enough justification to explain to our executives when I justify the compliance project for that instance of Salesforce. So it's a wonderful experience. And we also changed the data flow to make everything work so that people do not need to delete an activated order, causing orders to be shipped to customers more twice. And but we also took note, once we make our Salesforce instance compliant, then we can streamline this for the reduced amount of work. You say, by asking multiple questions in the very beginning and interview all these people involved in the business process, we learn so much. And when you do interviews, we take notes. And we are number people. we are, most of us are technical people here, and we love numbers. But what we do with those notes we get, right? So after we do observation and interview, the second step is saturate and cluster. That these are techniques to organize the qualitative data we collected, the notes. Okay, so I give an example of here. So here are the people I interviewed for my billion-dollar idea. And when I interviewed them, I took notes. Then I put notes on the stickers. I typed them actually, and I put the stickers. I grouped this. I put the stickers in the proper place on this on this grid. So this is called saturating the spaces in this grid. So what are their words, and what are their actions, and what are they thinking, what's their belief, and what are they feeling when they use our application. As software architect, I give one more example here, right? Belief is important. And users, when they use our software, they imagine how the software work. And then when they encounter a problem, they are very creative in using what their imagination and whatever they can click and do to solve their problems. Like, you know, the order is locked, but I can delete it, and let me delete it, right? So what they think about how the software work is very, very important. So these things here are important. So once we put things, we saturate the space with our nodes, then we can cluster the ideas, the thoughts which are the observations which are similar to each other. We cluster them. Okay, so so once we have this, then we can get a very good idea of the usability of our application and what are the concrete needs of our users. Not only that, we also know what they feel when they use our application. Do they hate us when they use our application? Or they said, wow, this is a delight. I get things done pretty quickly. And so so this is important to saturate the space with our observations and clustered ideas and find out our users' need. This is called an empathy map. By doing this hard work, we can emphasize with our customer, feel what they feel, and know what they know, and know what they do, and hear their voices. And then the next step is to create a point of view. Now, a big mistake will be point of view means our point of view. Point of view is the user's point of view. So what is the typical user of your systems, the personas, right? What's their need, and why do they have such need? When you put this user have these needs, and because they need to do this and they feel this way, and then you understand that role. You may have multiple personas, and you write this point of view. So this point of view captures our user requirements in gist, and it's condensed form of that. But this is our starting point. Even back in graduate school, I was talking with some my best friends. We noticed that we are observing the professors in our department. We saw that some professors are really smart, and they know their skills, their knowledge so well. We enjoy their classes, but on the other hand, they are not quite successful either. And then there are some professors, they are very successful, although sitting in their classes is a bit of messy. Okay, so we figured out who is better at getting funding, who is not so good at getting funding. As graduate students, we need for scholarship, right? So we need to work with professors who are good at getting funding. Well, those professors may not be the best lecturers, frankly. However, they understand what problems we are trying to solve. to know the customers, the user's point of view, to know the first part, understand our customers, understand our users, is the most important things. If you are a senior leader and when you get promoted in your career path, this become more and more important. Users, business, right? So now we get 1/3, but in content we are half, so more than half. So once we have a point of view, we're good at creating ideas. We have all done brainstormings, and we can find a good brainstorming rules online. No problem. Just ask ChatGPT. We're good technical people. We'll come up with many ideas, and we cluster the ideas and vote on the best ideas and choose the most promising ideas. But we're not going to implement them, spend that $1 million project budget on this yet. Okay, we're going to choose the best ideas and prototype them to show the users how this will really work. Otherwise, once we spend the 1 million to change something is going to be very expensive. So we create a very cheap prototype. Now, as Salesforce professionals, to come up with a screen is so easy for us, and a screen flow which is not connected to business logic is so easy, right? So here we can be really good at this. It's easy for us to create an interactive page to ask our user, if you click through, this is the way to solve the problem. Would you be happy? And we can learn so much from that that experience. Okay, so I'm sure as Salesforce professionals, we are all good at this. So I will not go to the details of this. Now, prototypes need test. Testing is important. Unless you test, you do not know. And this service firm, they serve the public parks, and they are people go to the parks early in the morning to clean out the parks, and then technology changed. They changed it from using rigs to blowers. But what they found was that people complain once they switched to blowers. Well, with blowers, the park get actually cleaner, but people do not find the parks are cleaned, because when they use the rigs, people could see the signs of cleaning the park being clean. But once you use blowers, they do not notice anything. So they said, well, is the park really cleaned, right? So that firm had to figure out a way to leave some traces to show that the park is really cleaned. Now, why do I give this example? Now, on the Salesforce page, if a record is saved, do you want to show a pop-up to tell the user that the record is saved? You do, right? Otherwise, the user wonder, is this saved or not? And just keep clicking, right? And if you have a button which after click, there's some work to do, you better to explain to the user, we have got your message and we are working on that, and what will happen next, right? Now, if there's an error, you need the user to do something, well, you need a better message. So testing with users is very important to find out how actually they will use our application and what we need to do for them, and take notes of those things. So these three steps is to make sure technically we can do the things, and what we do technically will satisfy human need. Now, the key of the middle three steps is this: we wanted to facilitate value exchange as soon as possible. Legend says that Elon Musk, before he created really created the electronic car, before he even had a name for his company, he bought a car, and he changed the engine, somehow used the electronic motor in that car, and he drove that car on the streets slowly, and people would notice, hey, that car is so quiet, and then they talk with him. He said, wow, this is an electronic car. Now, if we create such a car, would you like to buy one? Well, actually, there are people who sign up. Yeah, I definitely buy one. So we want to make sure our solutions our application design really solve users' problems, and they are willing to tell their executive, yeah, this is great, and we really want to eager to use this application. Please get this project funded. If we are creating a product for end customers, we want to be able to sell our product even before we put in too much effort to create that product. So so of course, for hardware, for physical products, if you do something wrong, if hardware gets wrong, they call that born silicon. I used to work for a hardware company. It's very expensive. And we used to think software is pretty easy to change. Really? Our software, complex software can be very, very hard to change. Earlier in my career, there was a huge telecom company. They spent $3 billion. That was the highest of telecom. They spent $3 billion to rewrite their switch system in object-oriented language at that time, all the rage. Only in the end found out, no, users cannot use it because you cannot connect a call in under 2 seconds. It takes 30 seconds. Now, who want to make a call and wait for 30 seconds for the call to be connected? No. They ditched the project. The company went down. Also, it's a much smaller company these days. So we wanted to make sure our solution really solve user problem that they are willing to pay us or fund us. Okay, and now Salesforce make it really convenient for us to do prototypes. And I'm sure so many of us have seen this Delbert comic, right? So the customer explained it like this, but how we understand it, eventually how we describe it, and how we're going to build it is going to be very expensive. But when they get it, it's not what they want, right? So we used to see waterfall kind of methodology produce this kind of software, but actually, even with Agile, you can create this kind of software also if you're not careful. So anyway, I will not spend too much time in this section. We are all experts, technical experts. I like to spend a little time on the last two steps, which is the business aspect of being a technical professional. So BMC stands for Business Model Canvas, and BCC stands for Business Case Canvas. Now, if you are a team lead, if you're a IT leader, you might have prepared a business case sometime, right? So I used to use a business case template or project design template, or sort of templates. But what I found is that this business model canvas is so helpful once you are planning bigger projects and initiatives at enterprise level. So you really want to find out how you are impacting your customers. And as CRM system, we really want to know what customer relationships we need to maintain to deliver the values we promise to customers. If we understand the value proposition our company have for our customers, then we are starting to understand the core of our business. When senior executives talk about strategy, we start to understand better and better. So value proposition is the most important part of business model. And then you have customer segments. Now, where do you hear the word segmentation? Marketing system. Now, if you use Marketing Cloud or use Marketo, don't your Salesforce instance integrate with them? So it's good to know where does all this fit in the business in the business model. So we have marketing system, we have Salesforce here, and we support multiple channels. Now, omni-channel, we heard of omni-channel in Salesforce technology, right? So what does that mean in businesses? We need to support, we need to reach out to customers through multiple channels, emails, phones, and electronic portal, and all those different channels. Physical good need to be shipped, and we may want to put our products in Walmart. So all these different channels. So this is the customer part. Now, a very important part is that how how customers are willing to pay us, right? Or how our business units are willing to fund us. So this is the customer side. Now once we understand our customer, what value we need to deliver to them, we need to figure out what we need to do for them to earn to earn their value, to earn the value. And then to do those things, what resources do we need? We're not going to do everything. So who are our key partners? And then given our partners, our resources, what's the cost structure, right? So once you now if we think our own business, it takes about 30 minutes to write down what we know here and interview someone who is much more experienced than us in that company and fill out it further. And then when we learn more, we fill out more here. And then when we work on different projects, we understand our business better and better. And that's how we grow in a business. And do we have any CTA candidates here? You can put in the chat window if you're on the CTA journey. We do have architects here. So if you're an architect, you might be on the Salesforce CTA journey, certified technical architect journey. Now this, by the way, is very important for your CTA journey. If you practice this in your work, you will find this so useful. When I was preparing for my CTA, one drawback I found myself is this. I worked for huge companies and huge clients, and I did not change frequently. So as a result, I know things very, very deeply, but I do not know all the industries. So what do? So I went to the Salesforce success story site. For every industry, I took 3 to 5 stories, and the best stories, I read them. I imagine, what is the business model of this company? Given the business model of this company, who are their customers? If I want to propose Salesforce for them, and how would I sell them Sales Cloud, Service Cloud, and maybe Marketing Cloud? And so what are the sweet spots of Salesforce that I can sell to them? Now, if you look at the sample CTA scenarios, they are mostly about using the sweet spots of Salesforce to solve your customers' problems. And the majority of the problems have customer, at least have users. And when you have this in mind, you can understand the scenarios better. And when you explain when you later do the presentation, which is all important also, you will explain it from user's perspective. Look, user perspective, to understand the business requirement, to understand a CTA scenario from business perspective, from user's perspective, to present your solution from user's perspective is very important, critical for people to understand you. And of course, being technical people, we make sure it's visible. This is like the air we breathe, like the water we swim in, right? This is not a problem, but the user perspective is very, very important. And the business perspective is also important. When we read business requirement, when we read a CTA scenario, we want to find out, what is this business about? What is the North Star of this project? How does this business make money? And if you find it out, it will help you to create a solution to cover that. So if you have a typical Sales Cloud, Service Cloud scenario, how the company make money, how they create that order, ship that order, and collect money, and is often the custom part of your data model, right? So for CTA preparation, if you practice design thinking when you do your projects, can help you. And I'm sure as architects, you grow. We can grow that way. When we talk about only the technical stuff, people cannot follow us. But when we talk business, the executives can understand us. When we talk from users' perspective, how our solution work, the users can understand us. So the design thinking principles can apply to so many different things. Now we have, before we come here, one more thing, experiments. Once we have a business model, we need to do some experiments. Do you think our senior executives, our CEO know everything when they make strategies? They make a lot of assumptions. And let's say if you are a SaaS company, right? You are Salesforce, and you want to make your developer orgs for free for all. Everybody can just go there and sign on and use it, right? But how do you find out who will actually become a paying customer? And you decide that to support these people is very important. So you give them free training materials. Everything is free for Salesforce developer to use, right? But are you sure that is profitable? And what is profitable, what is not, right? So I'm in the Salesforce customer advisory board, and they come to interview people to say, if you are going to pay for this, we need to do experiments to see whether people to validate the assumptions we make in the business model. Now, why this is relevant for Salesforce? If you work on Sales Cloud, you know the sales pipeline, you know how many leads are coming in, you know how many opportunities are at each stage there. And I had a very smart friend before. He looked at the company's pipeline. He knew it's time to change job. He switched to a more profitable business unit because he got to see the sales pipelines. So, well, is that a proper use of data? Did he validate his trust to be able to look at the pipeline? I don't know, but he worked on the business pipeline, so he know what is in the pipeline. Executives need to know that. And how many cases are coming in, you know whether customers are happy with us or not if you do the survey in Service Cloud, right? So we know so much, but hopefully we do not only use the knowledge to serve our own purpose. We needed to create reports and dashboards to give to our executives so that they get the information in time to pivot in strategy, to either conform their strategy or to change direction. It's very important. Like look at Wall Street, look at the stock market, right? So what's their impact to all these companies? So executives need to know whether their assumptions are correct or not. And Salesforce people know so much. Again, reports and dashboards and data are so important that we can really help them and support them. So with that, let's look at, we have looked at every step of the design thinking process and figure out how they help us. And now on the summary slide, I'm going to point out that these are all somewhat familiar, connected to something familiar to us. Now, shift left is something we know if we do DevOps, right? We want to shift left because we know at a requirement stage, if it takes $1 to ask a question to clarify something, it's way better than creating a design which cost $10 and figure out, oh, the design does not address the requirement, right? But if we have implemented that to change the code, well, let's say a developer spent only 1 days of work on that. You're looking at $1,000, right? So we wanted to shift left to get the requirements right, to get the design right, to test at every stage before we go to production. And by the way, if we find the problem is $1,000, if we start to ship wrong products to customers, think the reputation damage, think how much money is involved. So therefore, we wanted to shift left in DevOps. And here with design thinking, we are shifting left on steroid. We are passing requirement. Think, who give us requirements? Business analysts. Or do our business analysts know everything? They do not, right? So in agile teams, we have a PO, product owner, and they are supposed to tell us how the business work and how we should prioritize this. Well, do they know everything? Well, sometimes we hire new people. We hire new product owners. Do they know everything? And can we depend only on them to do everything? Of course, that's their work. They do that. They do a good job. But in every kind of collaboration, there must be some kind of overlap, right? So they need to know a little bit of technology so that they know, at least get a sense of what is difficult, what is possible, what is pretty easy to do. And we need to have a good understanding of business. The better we understand the business, the better it is for us. And when you progress from individual contributors to team leaders to enterprise level leadership, on the more and more profound understanding, deeper and wide understanding of business, of our customers, and all the groups of people inside and outside of the enterprise we need to solve is important. So shift left on steroid. Now, speed up value exchange. We do not want to produce code yet unless we know what we're doing. So think about it. We locked our screen, so users cannot change an activity order. Well, that seems to be the right thing to do, but they need to change your field. What is the right thing to do? Well, unlock the screen. Well, do you really want users to change your field on an activity order? And so by doing interview, you understand the problem deeply, and you create a prototype and put it in front of them. Does this solve your problem? And speed up the value exchange. And we wanted to know our business, and we want to contribute to strategy forming of our senior leaders. When they ask for data, well, we have the data over there, and it's important. I already talked about this aspect of how much Salesforce admins and developers with access to the sales pipeline, with access to customer service, to their cases, how much we can know about our business. Well, serve our business with all the information we have, so that we all together in the enterprise serve our customers and work well with our partners. So that's how we can apply the principles of design thinking to our daily work, and to help our business, to help our careers also. So that's the third question I answered today. So we talked about today. We talk about three things. What is design thinking? Why it is relevant to us as Salesforce professionals? And then by walking through the process step by step, we figured out what are the underlying principles of design thinking and how they apply to our daily work, to our business and career. Okay, thank you for this opportunity. Now I really love to hear any question, feedback, sharing.
If anybody have any question, feel free to unmute yourself and ask a question directly.
Now, if not, how about I name some people? Rahul. Rahul happened to be one of my friend's name also. So Rahul, let me ask you a question. If you unmute yourself. So Rahul, first, is this something? Did I present this in an understandable way?
Yes, definitely.
Okay. So now, if you take away one thing from this, what would be your takeaway?
Basically, I think to understand the requirement from business perspective, not just like how it is documented, but to get basically shift left to the requirement. That is, I think, one of the most important point I got from here. Yeah.
Thank you. Rahul, are you an admin, developer, or architect?
Architect.
Okay. Are you on the CTA journey?
Yes.
Okay. So I tell you, some of the people who are most successful at quickly getting ready for CTA are the people who understand the requirements very, very well. There are two friends of mine. Their background is in business analysis, and they passed the CTA pretty quick. The reason is that they understand requirements faster better, more accurately. So so yeah, it's an important point. I'm glad that you appreciate that point. Anyone else who have a comment or feedback? Vinay, let me pick on you. Vinay happened to be one of my favorite name.
Hey, hi, Charlie.
So Vinay, what's your role in Salesforce?
I'm a developer, a senior developer.
Oh, you're a senior
so,
developer.
yeah.
So what kind of company do you work for?
I work for a public sector company, and we mostly work on the Experience Cloud and Service Cloud side of things.
Experience Cloud. Okay.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
So is there anything here that applies to what you're working?
Yes, definitely. I mean, we conducted few interviews. I mean, not by myself, but we have a UI UX developer and a design team. I was part of the interviews, so we interacted with the citizens. They have to come in and fill out information. I mean, as I said, it's a public sector company, so they give out grants, money, and different kinds of helps like tax help and all. So they have to come back and report like what they're doing with the money and all. So that is why we use Experience Cloud. So it was very important for us to know their, like feedback, because they are the ones, like they should log in and submit. So I can definitely relate to whatever you said.
Yeah, I worked on a public sector portal also for people to work with the government. So I can yeah, identify with you.
Yeah,
Anyone
yeah,
else?
and we
Yeah.
utilize Salesforce design system, so that was something new and at the same time a great learning experience for me.
Oh, so did you get familiar with the design system?
Yes, yes.
And so you can completely configure a portal to have the look and feel of the enterprise of the government agency according to their style guide.
Yes, yes, that is correct, Charlie. Yeah, the style guide was new, but I mean, like I said, there was a UI UX developer, so they developed the style guide for us, gave us prototypes. So my job was to, like use the Salesforce design system, not some third-party library, and
Oh,
still achieve whatever they gave.
wonderful. Would you mind to send me a message on LinkedIn? I want to talk with you because I happen to need that recently. So I wanted to talk with someone who have done that and ask a few questions.
Sure, Charlie. Yeah, I'll do
Thank
that.
you. Thank
Yeah,
you.
no problem.
Anyone else?
I guess no more question in the
No
chat.
more questions?
That is a really great session, Charlie. Thank you so much for all your help and sharing your knowledge with us.